Today we're going to talk about being prepared for fishing around mayflies. It's something that happens up here in the northern part of the country every May, June, happens into June. And so in May, you got to start thinking about it and get prepared for it. And it can be a tricky time to bass fish. So I have a couple of techniques I want to share. One involves a topwater bait and one involves a bottom bait that I catch fish on when they're moving through the water column feeding on mayflies. So we'll start with the topwater. I've got a storm rattling chug bug and I've got a bullfrog pattern chug bug out of the box here, and this is the 2.5-inch version. It's small and that's what I like to imitate bugs, but I don't like the colors out of the package. They come in some bright colors and they come in this bullfrog pattern and they'll work, but it doesn't exactly mimic that mayfly that I want, so I do something with that. I go through a process where I'll take the paint off of a standard 2.5-inch jug bug, and I'll go through a process with my Dremel tool to remove all of the paint so that I end up with a blank, right? A roughed up plastic blank that's now white. And then I do a little bit of custom painting to it to get it to look like a mayfly. And here's a mayfly on the screen right now. And you see the colors of this thing. It's got some browns in it. It has some yellow in it. And it's got some black in it. So I mix up my paints and I just do just very simple, nothing artistic, but just getting those three colors on there so that floating on the surface, this bait has the right appearance color-wise. Then I'll do one other thing is I'll find, I purchased this hook on eBay, but it's a feathered hook that is gonna mimic the wing. It's the color, the beige and blacks in a mayfly's wing that laying in the top of the water, this thing might imitate that bug for the bass. So if I can't buy it, and I bought this one on eBay, then I'll make it and I'll pull up on here and I'll put in the description a place where you can get some feathers to wrap on and glue on to your hooks. And again, I like the Mustad Ultra Point KVD double short, double strong hooks on my topwater baits. So I'll end up putting some feathers on there. And the trick is, these things sit in the water column and they float nose up, and if the feathered hook is on the bottom, and here's a finished product, painted and waiting to dry with my coating on there, but you see that feather on the back end of that. As that thing sits and floats on the water and that feather is dangling in their face and just kind of almost no movement, just the movement of the water and the waves, they'll think those are wings of a mayfly and they'll suck that thing off the surface. And this can be a deadly presentation. You see here, I've showed you my custom paint job, but I'm able to get it to look, just get the right colors on it. It doesn't have to be a work of art, but it doesn't look like a bullfrog out in the middle of the lake because I'm trying to imitate a bug. So I do a little bit of customization to my 2.5-inch chug bug, and that's my topwater. And I'll fish that thing, throw it out, and you can let it sit. I spend a lot of time with this thing sitting on the surface just dead still. I've caught fish with this thing sitting there for 60 seconds or more. I've thrown it out there, set my rod down, done something else for a few minutes, and had a fish blow up on it when I wasn't even paying attention. So you can fish this thing super, super slow. In fact, just letting it sit there after all the ripples of it landing are gone, the wave action, and in those bass, when the mayflies are hatching and moving from a larva up to this top and then hatching and flying away, I mean, in that process, those fish are hunting them through the whole water column. They're looking for movement on the surface as they're coming to the surface. They're hunting them mid-water depth and they're hunting them on the bottom. So this is a great way to catch them when they're on top, getting something close, and the old storm rattling chug bug custom special fits the bill. So that's the first thing on top. Then I've actually seen fish blow up on top on a bug, and then I'll see it, but I'm not fishing topwater over there, so I need something to go after them that mimics that bug, because they're on their way back down to the bottom. They'll range from 12 feet to the surface, grab a bug and go back down. And I've been successful catching fish going back down after they've surfaced and grabbed one off the surface by throwing a setup here using this special bait. You probably don't see a lot of this anymore, but it's the Bass Magic Shakey Tail Worm, Lucky Strike made that back in the day. It's a shaky tail worm. I get mine off of eBay now. There's some people who are still carrying them, but I'm going to put this thing and I'm going to rig it on my mosquito hook, my Varivas size 1 mosquito hook, and I'm going to put it, and because that mosquito hook's got that nice little nylon keeper for the weight, I'll throw my little grenade weight from Varivas on the back of that too, and I'll show you a little video of the action of that thing as it's on the bottom, nose down, tail up, but the shimmer and the shine on these tails. And again, like I'm showing you the colors in this bug, those are the same colors that you get in this Bass Magic Shakey Tail Worm, and it's the pumpkin narrow color. And that pumpkin narrow color's got the same colors as the old mayfly, and so it's very effective. I call it a chase bait. When you see the bass hit a bug on the surface and then you see it but you're too late, you fire this over there and it'll go down to the bottom right in the spot that thing came up and surfaced at. Sometimes they'll follow that thing back down and you can catch them on the bottom, and you just let this thing sit here, and like my video showed, you can twitch the tail in the sunlight or whatever, the light catches that tail and the fleck in this paint, and it just sits there. It's hollowed so you can put some scent in it, and it's, tail up, nose down, floats, jiggle it, shake it, and reel it back in and go after the next surfacing fish. So between the topwater and the bottom bait, you can have some solutions ready to attack the mayfly situation when that can shut down every other bite. It can shut down your jerkbait bite, it can shut down the Ned bite, it can shut down the wacky rig bite, it can shut down every bite that mayfly hatch. So having several alternatives to go after those mayfly feeding fish while they're feeding is smart to have ready. It's smart to have it available. So don't get caught without an option when it comes to mayfly season. Have it, an old school bait and a little customization can give you a 1-2 punch when it comes to the mayfly season. You can put some tank or smallmouth bass in the boat with these tricks. You don't have to maybe go to as much detail. If you want to just start out before customizing, go ahead and get yourself a 2.5-inch rattling Chug Bug and put a feathered tail on it. That's a great start. I like to get it a little closer, and you'll see by the colors that I'm using that I'm trying to mimic that mayfly as closely as possible, and I'm pursuing them feeding the mayfly rather than throwing the myriad of other baits and wondering why I'm not getting bit. So check it out. You'll catch some tank or smallmouth and you'll have fun doing it. Hope those tips were helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on the water.